Well, if I'm making this video, then that means God is still in the blessing business. And with God still being in the blessing business, that means business has got to be good. Man, I had to just jump on here real quick. I hope this don't take too long. But it is what it is. My. So I sit here and made a statement before on a video before about being and learning how to be okay with death. And I had to make sure that I didn't, when I go to talk about that subject or talk about what I'm getting ready to tell you, that I don't really have nobody in my energy like that to where I'm upset or not upset, but just somebody trying to run me or something like that. Because it would turn out to a very bad video because I'd be snitching, not just snitching, just like snitching like in a bad way, but I'd be telling too much of people's business because I don't really have no business like that to where nobody don't know. And then, oh well, you're telling on your no, all my business been told because everybody that think they're getting the upper hand or something like that, they tell the business, but then they forget about the thumb that's pointing at themselves. And this would go into one of those that's this don't this not about nobody that's not in Texas. Anywhere else in not in Texas, just don't prefer to them when dealing with me. But anyway, okay, learning how to deal with death. Not learning how to, but dealing with death. 2020 was a hell of a year. So with 2020 being a hell of a year, I finally think I learned the lesson of what the whole thing of dealing with death was. I had a earlier in my life, I had a very important person that died on, well, not on me, but God took him. But at the same time was my grandfather. It was early in life, but I didn't learn the lesson at death of, or even learning about death at that time because I didn't learn how to put things to rest. So now when I say dealing and learning how to deal with death, that don't mean you always have to be dead in order to learn how to deal with death. You could be very, very well alive, but learn or need to know how to deal with death because dealing with death as of not being in the body form, you don't have to, you got to learn how to deal with that even if you don't deal with people no more. It's so many people that'll sit there and say, oh, I don't deal with that person or I don't deal with that person, but they deal with that person when they want something. When they want something and they don't nobody else know how to make shit shake, they deal with that person then. And since I've had to learn how to put stuff to death and dead stuff out, that's like the bag lady or just having a bag and then you constantly dropping stuff and then stuff you're dropping that you're putting to death, but then at the same time you turn around and see it and go back and pick it up. Them kids older now. But at the same time of putting something to death, don't sit there and say you put something to death and you could tell everybody and run your mouth about you putting something to death and you don't put it to death. So what I'm here to say is putting it to death don't always mean it's dead. You could be alive and have to put something to death. Put something and put it away. Put it away where it's gone for good. Gone for good. In turn, that goes with what would you do if you had the upper hand? If you had the upper hand of a relationship or a situation, how would you do and what would you do and how would you act? Because knowing when to put something to death, how can you be over a household or a relationship or, oh, we both run this right now? They don't run like that. That's why a lot of relationships crashing out because you emotionally sit there and you running it emotionally. And if you've been in a relationship with me, you already know what the business is. It's either you run it or I run it. But at the same time, they ain't been working it, so that means who been running it? That's right. So if they ain't been working, you tell me who been running it. But at the same time, knowing how to put something to death, and then you could be like, it's no need to point the fingers because if I didn't know the lesson of putting something to death without it actually being dead, but it's dead to what's going on, maybe it'd still been the same outcome. And then in turn, it might not been the same outcome. But you're grown, so you can't make nobody do it, nothing that they don't want to. But knowing how to put things to death is very important. I appreciate y'all hearing me. Whenever y'all get to see this video, whatever night, daytime, morning, brunch, lunch, or anything in between. I appreciate y'all support too. Y'all have a good one. Sorry, Nari.